Over the past couple of weeks, actress and activist Jane Fonda has been arrested multiple times during climate change related protests. Recently, actually just yesterday, she was on The View to talk about this. And she was talking about how important it is that we address this issue. Abby Huntsman had some concerns though.
Here's the problem that I have, because I'm for climate change. I'm worried about the fires. I'm worried about the hurricanes. I lived in Beijing. I woke up every day with pollution. You can't even open your eyes. It's serious. But right now, the conversation that's being had about a $93 trillion Green New Deal, and then on the other side, having climate deniers, we're not having a conversation as a country. No. And that's frustrating to me. And I think part of the problem is this political hyperbole. When you have AOC saying, don't have kids anymore, you should really think about that, or we shouldn't ride on planes anymore, or this Green New Deal, where is that getting us? I worry that you go to such extreme measures.
The Green New Deal is fantastic, and how to pay for it?
But it's never going to happen. That's never going to happen in this country.
We, American taxpayers, subsidize the fossil fuel industry that's killing us to the tune of $16 billion every year. I mean, that's criminal.
So what can we do?
But that's not going to bring the climate deniers into a room to have a conversation.
The military budget, which is totally bloated and bigger than any other developed country, $600 billion. That'll fund Medicare for all, and that would fund the Green New Deal in large part. That's been proven by Forbes magazine.
So look, Jane Fonda has been doing a great job in her activism. I was actually able to, when she came to the LA climate march recently, I was able to hear her speech. I was like 5 feet away from her. It was pretty awesome. She's doing a great job. She did a great job there on The View. Abby Huntsman, though, that was frustrating to watch.
This is a perfect illustration of political conversation when it's about something that's based in fact and numbers, and then one group decides to ignore the simple facts and the simple numbers behind it and believe craziness. So when someone spots off 7 things that are cartoonish in their approach, and it's the opposition that has to be like scientific, direct, and clear and concise, so that these idiots can pick up on it. But even when you are, they go, but what about the killing babies part? What about the never eating meat again? I was like, so when we mention the numbers, the amount of money that you spend that goes to fossil fuel industry, but you don't care about that, and they say, well, how are we gonna pay for everything else? Do you care about how much we pay for the wars? Do you care about how much we pay, again, as Jane Fonda mentioned, these industries that continue to screw us over? You don't care about that part. But as soon as that's brought up, did Abby Huntsman go, you know what, that makes sense? No, nope. She went back into, but what about the Green New Deal?
She's not there to either make sense or acknowledge when sense has been made. We're gonna have more from her in a second, but I wanna say that I don't normally watch The View. Usually it's a few things will sort of make news, I'll take a look at it. So I don't go into watching a clip like that really knowing much about Abby Huntsman, except for, of course, the lineage thing where, like with Meghan McCain, her career began because of her last name and who her family was. That is a huge issue in the media. It's an issue we don't take seriously enough, obviously. And the thing is, I'm sure that Abby Huntsman is very smart. I'm sure she went to a far better school than me. She's far more powerful and influential than I will ever be. But she sits at that table to say vapid, ridiculous things like she did just there. It's like, oh, I know that we have the bulk of the world's scientists saying that we need to do something about this. Just yesterday, there was 11,000 scientists who said this is an emergency.
They're all getting paid.
And then you have on the other side, apparently balancing it, you have climate deniers. And why aren't we having a conversation? Maybe because there's no conversation to be had with those people. If their identity is not accepting science, like with Greta being asked about why she won't sit down with Trump, I am not going to waste my time when there's so much to do. And Abby Huntsman is technically smart enough to know that. But she's there to push for status quo friendly, centrist friendly civility. Let's have things that we promote and we care about, but let's not be mean about it. Let's be civil with each other. Why don't we spend the next 75 years having a conversation with the literal dumbest people on the planet about something that we have a couple of years to solve? And if that sounds too harsh, you just watched the clip. You saw her spreading lies about the Green New Deal that have been debunked on this show 50 times. Across media, what is it, a few thousand? And still, months and months after the Green New Deal comes out, she's saying that AOC is banning plane travel and banning meat and saying you can't have any kids. And she's paid fabulously to do that every day, to sit there, to lie to her audience and to confuse the issue. And by the way, they have Meghan McCain there to make Abby Huntsman look reasonable by comparison, but she's not reasonable. Abby Huntsman should be the crazy on the panel if she's gonna be there at all.
Because there's been moments when Abby Huntsman on that show has had to jump out and say something after McCain says something that's insane and be like, well, yeah, that doesn't really make much sense. I'm a Republican, but it doesn't really want to go that far. So there's this legitimacy factor, which, by the way, I take her sincerity in how she believes this. This is how it works. People who have good intentions, I don't know hers, but people who have good intentions will buy into it because it's simple. If you just throw someone a simple equation, they go, well, that makes sense, I guess, because everyone keeps saying it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. That's what our president continues to do over and over again. Then you're like, well, yeah, I guess that's really the case because I've heard it like a million times. I also heard that somehow 11,000 scientists are getting paid so fabulously that they're willing to all collectively lie about this. And not the fossil fuel industries or the lobbyists or the politicians who are all paid off and supported in this factor. Who's making money off of this again? It lands on its face. The logic of it lands on its face. Scientists are getting paid, but somehow the fossil fuel industry isn't.
Yeah, it's supposed to be more reasonable. It's like, I accept the science, and then insert reason to not do anything about it. That's not better than climate denial, it's actually worse, because we are savvy enough as environmentalists to know that there's no point in wasting our time on the climate deniers anymore. But there might be some people who can be convinced to waste their time trying to appeal to people like Abby Huntsman, who technically agree on the science, but don't feel any urgency whatsoever in actually doing anything about it. That is more dishonest than climate denial at this point. If you support doing nothing, I don't give a damn about what science you support. In the end, it's just as destructive to the earth and its climate. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.